don't have treats. Bonjour, you beautiful thing. Let's talk about leashes, what length, what width, what material, and what purpose do they serve for you and your dog training needs. Let's get into it. Bonjour, you beautiful thing. My name's Evan Doggett, real last name, and I've been using leashes. I've been training dogs professionally. Well, I've been using leashes a hell of a lot longer than that, but I've been training dogs professionally for over a decade. And I guess probably the first time I put my hand on a leash was 30 years ago. So how old am I? There's different reasons you're going to use a leash, but the primary reason is to just, get attached to your dog, to be able to communicate with your dog, which means it's the first consideration is like, what are you using it for? Is it for recall training, or is it you're walking through an airport and you don't want your dog to stop and take a leak on somebody's luggage as you're just trying to get from, point A to point B? There are different reasons. So let's start with length first. That's what she said. I think at some point everybody's gonna need a long leash. Obviously you can go, a long leash in my opinion is like 10 feet plus. If I was gonna choose one, which I have got rid of all my other stuff, I've got one leash, it's 20 feet long. Yeah, it's 20. But I would settle with a 15 as well. Alternatively to a tactile, hands-on leash, I mean, this is tactile too, but it's more mechanical. This is a retractable leash, otherwise known as every dog trainer's worst nightmare when they're walking down the street, passing another dog. Now listen, they're not all bad. You have just this smooth action where there's almost no resistance between attaching to your dog and getting away from them. The problem with these is, like any tool, it's how people are using them or not using them. Most people that use these, most pet owners that use these, use them while they're creating content for TikTok or consuming content for TikTok. And so if you're not paying attention, your dog can be 20 feet, 15, 30 feet out in the middle of the street. Another con is that they're typically quite heavy, but no heavier than like this would be. Another con is if you let this thing go, it's going to be chasing your dog and is going to catch up with them. And I've seen it happen. I've dropped them. It's happened to me where now the dog is scared and running and confused and running away. So another con. Pros would be like, some of them have these crazy attachments where it's like poop bags and a mace thing and GPS, and before long they'll have a screen attached in there, but they are very convenient for that. Another con, the biggest con is like, you don't know when they're gonna end. So what I do typically, I might not have it on this one. I stopped using this one and just went to the hands-on. Yeah, there we go. You can see there that there's black ink that I have marked. Maybe you can see that to let me know we're about 5 feet away. We're 4 or 5 feet away from hitting the end of this sucker, and it hits the end. If you try to manually stop it, you get the same effect. And then of course, the material that it's made out of is nylon, which you're gonna learn right now. And as I talk about the other lengths and whatnot, it burns, it rips, that thing gets around your leg going Mach 100, it will burn you, it will cut your skin. So not a huge fan of nylon, but there is a time and a place for this. I would say with a retractable leash, puppies in a controlled environment, right? Because you're not expecting a lot of precision with a puppy, and if you are, you don't want to have a lot of leeway. You don't want to be teaching heel while they're 20 feet away from you. So application, puppies, they can chew through this quite quickly. So keeping everybody safe is very important. It's the most important. Oh yes, because we love you. Oh, because you're perfect. We've got biothane, which is like a synthetic leather, real leather, probably cow, and a nylon polyester combo. My personal favorite is the biothane. There are different thicknesses and widths and qualities of it, but it's essentially a synthetic leather. The reason I love it, which is the reason why I don't like the other ones anymore, is it doesn't absorb moisture, it doesn't absorb scent, so it's clean. You can wipe it down, you can hose it off. Leather will mold, also for ethical reasons, like, do we really need to be using leather anymore? It's dyed, it's stained, it's whatever. Although I guess there's still people are eating so much meat. Is leather an issue? I don't know. I'm not an environmentalist. Let's not go down that route. Maybe you can put it in the comments. But hunting and fishing and hiking with the dogs, and then I'd throw it in a bag and forget about it for a few days, and it would come out gross. Same thing with the nylon materials as well. But like, you don't have to go out and buy all new stuff. You don't have to throw away everything. If your stuff is working, if you've got rope or, you know, maybe a couple of belts tied together, you've got whatever, like, use what you have. Unless we're talking about my new leash, which I'll show you at the end, which you could buy. So we've covered material. Biothane's my favorite, as you can see. Lengthwise, for a regular walking leash, most of them are 6 feet long. And, ugh, that was awkward. In my opinion, it's too long. It's too much when you're actually walking your dog. Hi, Izzy, can I use you as a little demo dog? So I've got my dog here, and I'm either thumb loop, wrist lock, maybe a couple of fingers, typically because I do so much e-collar training. This is my setup. I've got this here, and then I end up having to take the excess of the leash around my pinky, and then I have a knot in all of my leashes as a little guide of where I want to be. The benefit of this is now I can work recall with my dog at a distance, but for the most part, if I'm just walking down the street, that's a long way away from me. Like, I really don't need that, which is why, lengthwise, when I designed my leash, I made it 3 feet. But also, it's got the best of both worlds, which is having a tab on their little traffic loop. It's not a tab, it's a traffic loop. I looked into having a detachable one for just a traffic loop, but decided against it for weight reasons. And so that's as far away. You can go and pee and poop, and I don't have to be right beside you. I don't need to be this close beside you. But when we're walking, it's like short dog or Izzy, come, or, you know, regular. Where are you going? You're not going in the chair. For an average medium to large size dog, it's not getting below your knees too much. You can shorten it up if you have to, or there. So I think the ultimate length for walking your dog is 3 feet. So if that means you cut off the end of your 6-foot biothane leash and loop it back over and somehow staple it together, great. Or if you want this leash, send me a message. There'll be an email in the description below. This is my favorite length, 3 feet. And then we might as well get into width at the same time. I don't see why you would want a full inch of width. I don't understand why you would want it. It's an option, but you're not doing this, which is why you would need width, because that's not proper leash walking skills. That means you're attached to the wrong tool, like a flat collar, like a harness. But even then, strength-wise, this material is rated like 500 or 600 pounds of pressure. I don't know what you're walking or what you're training for that you would need that much strength. So for me, it's like a weight thing. I want this to be light. I want it to be simple. So I went with the 1/2 inch option, and then the super material, so it's rounded and it's a little bit thicker, so it feels good in your hand. So 3 feet, 1/2 inch for this material, which would be the same as the retractable. I think that actually might be a 1/4 inch. That's super narrow. And I think everyone should have at their front door, especially people that are struggling with your dogs jumping up on your guests, or you just gotta like get hands on your dog real quick, is a slip leash. So it's a leash and collar in one. They come in every size and material. You can get them in biothane. You can get a pack of 20 for whatever reason on Amazon for $3. There will be links below for basically everything here. It's got a little stopper on it, and there's a right way to put it on and a wrong way, depending on what side your dog is walking on. Essentially, you want this action. You don't want that where it's folding over. So you want to have them on your left side. The ring is at the top, not at the bottom. Some people say like a P shape or a Q shape. Anyway, having a slip leash, here's an even more simple one that I accidentally stole from my vet. Sorry guys. It's just a little loop and then goes over. So now I've got a collar and a leash on one. I don't leave any flat collars or prong collars or anything on my dogs when I'm not watching them. So if they go crazy at the door, I've got a young dog, I can just slip this over their head, and now I've got a collar and a leash on them as well. I think that's a really, really great option to have. And if you want to learn a really important leash walking technique tip, just watch this video right here. And of course, thank you so much for subscribing and leaving comments. It helps a lot. See you in the next one. Bye, meow.